I know you want some Leo L's to warm your soul and give you a smile. So I got them for you. It's been a minute, so I'm just going to get right to it. I've decided this round to divide them up in categories. So we have states' rights, workers' rights, exceeding authority process failures, malicious prosecution, migrant immigrant rights, Epstein, First Amendment attacks, SCOTUS, whistleblowers, and deregulation. So let's get to it. If you're new here, I'm JJ Legal. That's what I do. I monitor the lawsuits filed against the Trump administration, have an institutional memory. So I help you realize that on the judicial stage, at least for the lower courts and the Court of Appeals, they have your back. We're winning. We're kicking their asses. They're losing. Supreme Court, I don't want to talk about that. States' rights courses. You probably have heard that the Trump administration has been trying to get access to the voter rolls for states. They actually sued 30 states that did not give them up. So there's several states that actually did. Sorry for you guys in those states, but we'll talk about that later. Out of the 30 states, 20 of them have gotten to the final disposition case state. And in 20 cases, they are 0 for 20. Every single thrown out. And let's let me give you the states, so you know that you're protected. Your voter roll data is protected. Arizona, California, Colorado, DC, Illinois, Kentucky, Maine, Maryland, Massachusetts, Michigan, New Hampshire, New Jersey, New Mexico, New York, Oregon, Pennsylvania, Rhode Island, Virginia, West Virginia, and Wisconsin. If your name was not called, see me at the end of the class. Great. For the, umpteenth time, the Trump administration tried to sue a state, city, or locality for not assisting in its immigration enforcement, which is something that's in the purview of the federal government. And for the umpteenth time, they lost. The last one was Minnesota. And the judge was like, we have this thing called 10th Amendment. We have this thing called separation of powers, and we have due process. On all those bases, you can't force these jurisdictions. So let me go ahead and give you the list of jurisdictions who have won. Illinois, California, New York, New Jersey are the states. For the cities, you got Chicago, New York City, Los Angeles, Boston, Denver, Seattle, Portland, San Francisco, Cook County, Illinois, Hennepin County, Minnesota. Waste of time. This entire 20 months experiment. November can't get here fast enough. The rain is in. All right. The First Circuit Court of Appeal actually was one of the first Court of Appeals to block Donald Trump's attempts to get the mail-in ballots. When I get the Supreme Court portion, well, I might as well tell you now, he appealed to the Supreme Court, and this week they asked for an emergency because, they're trying to intervene because he sees the writing on the wall. Anyway, let's move on. Workers' rights. Before Donald Trump came into office, after he won in November, between November and December, a lot of the unions for the executive agencies scrambled with Joe Biden to get their collective bargaining agreements signed, which lasts for like 7 years beyond this fool's term. And each time, irrespective of the fact that the CBA agreement exists, the Trump administration attempted to supersede and just tell the workers they don't have the rights and to come back to work. In every single case where the union has sued, they've won. Every single one. So I'll give you what the unions, now, if you're a member of these unions, keep up with them, let you know they all won. Health and Human Services, U.S. Forest Service, Environmental Protection Agency, Housing and Urban Development, Social Security Administration, United States Patent and Trademark Office, the Veterans Administration. They are like fighting the Veterans Administration's union so hard. They love the military but hate the veterans. IRS, Internal Revenue Service, TSA workers, probation employees at HHS. A judge found that the Trump administration unlawfully fired probation attorneys because of probationary employees. The standard required to remove them is an individual by individual basis. It cannot be bulk, and that's what they did. So we have the final disposition of that case. So that's going forward. If you're a member of your probationary employee who lost their job after HHS, look into that, do some research, because there may be an opportunity for you to come back. CIA, members of the CIA who just have diversity, equity, inclusion as part of their role, like maybe one piece of their role, were fired because this administration is stupid and racist and xenophobic and sexist and just trash. So they're sued, and they've survived the motion to dismiss case state because the Trump administration tried to dismiss their case, and the judge was like, no, they can go forward. They have a credible case. So I'll keep you updated with that. Now, exceeding authority. Donald Trump said during his first term to the Turning Point USA audience, Article 2 gives me the right to do whatever I want. He believed that then, he still believes that. So he just does things with not, with the war, the tariffs, with revoking the grants, every single thing, because he believes this. And all his executive orders, he don't have the authority to do most of that stuff, but he's really not that smart. So a judge, Talwani, blocked his attempt to try to get the United States Postal Service to not forward on the mail-in ballots who have not gone through the system and approved by Donald Trump. Get out of here. He appealed that to the Court of Appeals, lost, and so now he's asked the Supreme Court to hurry up and let him intervene. The Supreme Court, he's relying on y'all. Even though I don't want to get into the Supreme Court on a related to states' rights, they've consistently held states' rights related to voter processing. I don't want to get into Voting Rights Act because I'm going to get mad. East Ballroom, a judge said finally, because these cases take a long time, so they've been suing for a long time the East Ballroom, the Historic Preservation Society and groups. And a judge said that you cannot destroy the East Ballroom without getting, or any part of the White House without getting approval from Congress first. So I don't know what's going to happen now, but they destroy first and worry about it later. That's their whole modus operandi. Tariffs, for the second time, the judge said that you cannot, the Supreme Court said you can't do tariffs, and he tried to do it again. Another judge said you still can't do tariffs. So you should know also that they're fighting right now on refunding people. The companies and the countries that had the tariffs levied against them are fighting now in terms of getting the refunds. The companies that get the refunds, they're not giving that back to us. We paid the extra fee and we're getting nothing back. Waste of space. The reflecting pool, you probably know, the Olympic athlete who was charged, Daniel Hurd, was let go because they don't have any evidence. Donald Trump even admitted that he didn't see any video. There's no evidence. It was just a freaking lie. And he's still asking the Department of Justice, notwithstanding the fact that there's no evidence. And there's a long history. If you watch me, my account, I've shared with you all the times that they file get indictments, or try to go after people, try to prosecute people with very little evidence to support anything. No law, no evidence, no facts, no statistics, no data, no surveillance, nothing. This is so uncharacteristic, because the Department of Justice is traditionally built a solid case before they try to indict one. These people just build it based on Donald Trump's whim and wishes and just temper tantrums. That's why, anyway, I digress. Let me stay focused. Judge determined that just a vote cannot revoke already awarded grants because the priorities of the current administration change. If someone's already applied, there's a grant available, they applied, they want it, and they're executing it. If there's nothing wrong with the way they're doing it, you can't just say, well, we don't like this anymore, so we're going to revoke it. That's not how it works. Anyway, so I'm going to track that. Someone applied for someone signed up for, and they should get an article impeachment for him. He needs to get impeached. We'll see what happens after November. But I know I know someone already filed for impeachment, and it's already started. Same loan, the DHS grants. They try to deny Department of Homeland Security grants, housing and urban development grants. They try to deny grants to nonprofits, organizations, and groups that assist our unhoused population in our nation, irrespective of their gender, their identity, their status, whatever. They just want to get people off the streets and give them support, warmth. They're trying to deny those people the government grants to help them do what they want to do, unless they agree to not take care of migrants, immigrants, Black people, trans people. What? Culture wars are really stupid. So a judge blocked them. So I'm not quite sure if what stage this is in, but they're going to lose. Democracy Forward and ACLU is on this case. They're all equally crazy. Department of Education decided that mental health grants, they're not interested in mental health. So they try to revoke mental health grants already awarded to jurisdictions and states and schools. And a judge was like, no. Then they still tried to block it, finding like a back doorway. And the judge was like, I said no. The plaintiffs were like, y'all, that's why I call it the whack-a-mole administration. The reason why I call it, we have a lot more. I'm going to try to speed this up because this video is already 10 minutes long and I don't want it to go this long, but it is what it is. Hang in there with me. Next, we have frivolous lawsuits on the civil side, malicious prosecution on the criminal side. When they just doing stuff with nothing, thin cases. So let's wrap this up with malicious prosecution. Don Lemon and Georgia Foote were journalists, or all journalists, who were covering a protest in St. Louis, Minneapolis, at a church where one of the pastors, the chief pastor, was also like a supervisor at ICE. Anyway, they rounded up all the journalists, all the protesters. Oh my God. He asked for his lawsuit to be thrown out based on malicious prosecution basis because Donald Trump has said bad things about him and he seems to have it out for him. Lisa Cook, the Supreme Court, said that for now, Trump cannot fire her for the reasons he wanted to fire her. He's trying to still fire her. And Bill Pulte, who from Pulte Realty or Pulte Home Builders, who was his finance housing agency director and recently was the interim Defense National Intelligence head, despite the fact he has no experience. He dug into people's information illegally, unlawfully, to find things to go after Donald Trump's perceived corruption, open corruption. So he's going down too. I'm really looking for his trial. There's so many trials I'm gonna be following. Anyway, still going after her. It's gonna be a loser because he's a loser. The Olympic pool guy, the Daniel Hurd, the Olympic gold medalist, who they tried to prosecute for indict on a felony with sentencing up to like 20 years in prison based on a lie. That case got dropped. Jeanine Prior was like, we don't have evidence to support that. Donald Trump admitted there's no video evidence, but he still wants them to go after them with nothing. The man is the king of frivolous lawsuits, king of malicious prosecution. This corrupted regime is it's not going to look good. BBC, this is going to go into malicious prosecution because or frivolous lawsuit, because he filed a defamation suit against them for their reporting regarding the January 6th. It's something they said about him leading them, which he did. They corrected it, and he's suing them first for, like he said, for damaging his business and his reputation. Oh. So they're like, all right, if it's damage to your business, then we need to see your business records, because part of discovery, if you follow me, and if you're a member of my paid communities, I offer classes. And my first class was on class action lawsuits. My second class was on discovery. My last class was on how to read a court docket. Fun stuff. So if you want to join, go to jjlegal.com/membership. You get access to those. And every week, fresh new classes. And on Thursdays, we're doing a Q&A. So just to let you know. Anyway, so I digress. I went off on a tangent there. What was I talking about? Hold on. Oh yeah, I was talking about the BBC lawsuit. So he asked the court to let him edit his complaint to take out the allegations that they damaged his business, because they asked for in discovery. I say we damage your business. We need to see the records, because what happens in discovery, you exchange different documents. You have depositions, meaning interviews of each sides or witnesses. All that is to narrow down the scope to make sure we're all on the same page. He never submitted anything. So he said, rather than submit stuff, I'm going to amend it to remove the damaged reputation. That case is going to get dropped. Mark my words. The reflecting pool. So Daniel Hurd is suing. Jim Comey is looking and seeking out evidence in the grand jury. Normally, grand jury is secret, but this administration on multiple occasions have been busted doing what's called grand jury misconduct, lying to grand jury, stating things. Just a lot of things. I don't want to get into details, but Jim Comey says it looks like they did not show the grand jury the final like indictment charge that they're supposed to do. So they may not have known what they were. I'll keep you updated. Is that Capital One, another malicious lawsuit, sued them because it said that they debanked him because of January 6th. They were like, no, we debanked you because you had 300 transactions that look like money laundering. Your Honor, can we dismiss this case? I'll keep you updated. Immigrants, that's his big thing. This is going on 20 minutes. I didn't want this to be this long, but anyway. They have this mandatory detention program. They changed the policy of the Immigration Nationality Act, the policy of the Immigration Services for years and years has been, if someone is in the country, because we have various different people here on visas, visitor visas, permanent resident. Just there's a lot of folks here who aren't United States citizens or permanent residents, meaning they have a green card, or temporary residents, meaning they have like a temporary, meaning those folks have more rights or more like rights to be here than people on a temporary basis, where they're usually they're applying for some sort of status or they're trying to migrate over here, and so they're in different processes. So because these people are usually decent people, they're in different processes. If they're ever if an ICE agent or they're ever in a situation, immigration, where they're discovered to be here out of status, and they're adjudicating their status, or there's a court case going on. The process is, if those people don't have a final removal order, or they're not having like criminal detainer, like they haven't done something illegal, the process is to let them go on a bond, so they can go in front of a judge, and a judge can say, okay, you released on $1 bond, or we'll put an ankle monitor on you or something. But the alternative to detention, they don't detain these people. And so the judges in multiple jurisdictions, Republican and Democratic jurisdictions and judges, have noticed that the Trump administration tried to criminalize, as you've seen what they did with the Haitians, and they're trying to also do with the Somalis, the Ethiopians, the Venezuelans. Anyone who's here under our law that allows people to come here on a temporary protective status basis until the process is followed to remove it. They're just criminalizing everybody. They're making everyone who's already here lawfully and turning them into unlawful. They've changed the rules to make people here lawfully. So it's never been about coming the right way, because these are people who are actually in line, following the process, have work permits, and checking in regularly. These are not people in the shadows. So about 11,000 judges, 11,000 times, not 11,000 judges, about, I don't know how many judges, but 11,500 cases. When these people are able to go in front of a judge, the judge was like, this person has no active removal order. This person has no evidence that they're a criminal, have no criminal detainer. Why? They're entitled to a bond hearing. And so judges are giving bond hearings and let most of them go. Only out of 11,500, only 54 cases of people had to stay. And then these are cases gone up to the Court of Appeals, and there's a split in the circuit. Only 2 circuits have gone along with Donald Trump's shenanigans. They're like redrafting of the Immigration Nationality Act policy, the 5th and 8th Circuit. The 5th Circuit includes Texas. The 8th Circuit is flyover country. The following circuits have ruled that, affirmed when the district court judges below have said these people are entitled to bond hearings and be released because of the policy. The 6th, the 9th, the 7th, the 11th, the 10th, the 2nd. So it's a split of circuit, but despite the fact it's a split circle, most circuits are for it. It's going to go up to the Supreme Court. But it may go up to the Supreme Court after the Democrats take over the House and possibly the Senate, in which case that even if the Supreme Court does stuff, they can actually really quickly do stuff to like undo whatever the hell the Supreme Court does. They also had tried to put this new law to say, it's called anti-censoring, where they try to deny visas or revoke visas of people already here, or people who've already been granted visas, who work in disinformation industries. Like, they work to combat misinformation. They're revoking the visas of people whose job is to combat misinformation. They also Donald Trump's asylum. He issued executive order blocking asylum from certain countries. A judge was like, "That's not a thing." So I think that was just temporarily blocked. But in that case, the judge also said, "How can you say you're going to block asylums for these specific countries when you allowed visas for people from those countries to come here for the World Cup? Not just athletes, people coming from those other countries to come watch the games here in the United States. You allowed visas for those people. So if you're blocking those countries because those countries are dangerous, based on emergency reasons, based on national security reasons, that we can't have people from those countries come in here, why are you granting visas to people coming for an athletic game?" Which tells me, as a judge, that that's not serious. So anyway, the Fourth Amendment stops detention practices were recently challenged. Judge Frapong in Los Angeles is allowing that case to go forward, and the I guess it's ACLU, the migrant organizations that's out there trying to stop the Trump administration's policy of just rounding up people based on their race and ethnicity and their job. In that case, they survived the second motion to dismiss. There was an attempt to dismiss their case, and it was survived. It's kind of complicated, but that's a good win. Somalia, Ethiopia, their TPS status is still alive for now. There's challenges. South Sudan, Yeah, so this is going into the 30th minute. It's 20 minutes long. So anyway, let me wrap this up. Venezuela also is considering their TPS status as complicated. There's a lot of complications related to that. I'm not an immigration lawyer. I just was following that docket, and it's a lot of complexity. So look it up, or get your immigration lawyer, or contact an immigration or migrant organization that's tracking these. If I find one, I'll put a link on YouTube. Epstein, the New Mexico, and suing the Department of Justice for like stalling and stymieing and trying to get in the way of their investigation onto Dora Ranch, Epstein's ranch in their state. They're protecting the Epstein class. They're doing everything and above. You MAGAs who voted for Donald Trump to release the Epstein files, who was just certain that there are a lot of Democrats in Epstein files. And if there are, who cares? We don't care what parties they are. If they're abusing children, if they're doing some of the things that I saw when I used to look at the list, the 3 million, I'm just telling you that I saw, and anyone who looks at those files, you're going to see what looks like people who are enabling the man's trafficking. There are people who've gotten so much information, so much stuff, and these are regular people. So these people have found lots of names. I've seen lots of people. Not one has Todd Blanche attempted to investigate, prosecute the FBI. But just because you're getting away with it during this administration doesn't mean you're going to get away with it forever. So TikTok, you guys. And there's a former news anchor, also an attorney named Katie Fang, who's I think she's part of the Midas Network. She actually sued. She's the one who got Judge what's his name? Emmett. I think he's in District Court of, I think he's in Maryland. Emmett Sullivan. Yeah, I think in Maryland. To ask, there was essentially like 10 documents and stuff, 10 documents that were of concern that were redacted. He said, give me those documents. I'm going to review them. And the DOJ released the documents. But at the end of the day, at some point, Katie Fang is going to get the release of them for us. It always takes women, and women of color. So I'm rooting for her. I'll keep you updated. First Amendment attacks. The New York Times subpoena. He had subpoenaed the journalists and the family members of journalists that released that bombshell New York Times report about the Situation Room meeting, scandalous Situation Room meeting, which was attended by Susan Wiles, who's Donald Trump's what's her name? He's her chief of staff. It was attended by I don't know if Kash Patel was there, but I know what's his face was there. I don't understand how these people are caught doing all these illegal things, these seemingly unlawful, illegal, unethical, immoral things, but still feel okay with trying to get a job that requires people to be honest and not be unethical, immoral. The chutzpah, the audacity. Anyway, I digress. So they filed subpoenas of the journalists that covered that story. In that story, New York Times story, said in the Situation Room with Todd Blanche and a bunch of senior White House officials and DOJ officials and people from the FBI were getting together to figure out how to hide the information they discovered about Donald Trump, who is in the files more than Jeffrey Epstein, any other person. Anyway, so the journalists' lawyers filed a motion to squash their subpoena. And before the judge could even adjudicate that or make a decision, the Trump administration withdrew it because they say, we don't have all the information. I've already talked about the BBC. Oh my God. E. Jean Carroll, Donald Trump's trying to get the Supreme Court to like stop the payout, which has already been paid out, saying, well, if you don't stop this payout, she's going to give the money away to charity. And it won't be there for me in case I win. You're not going to win, buddy. Sure, you got that money. Eugene, just go ahead and give it away. But I doubt the Supreme Court would take up this case. I know we're suspicious because he's appealed to the Supreme Court multiple times for private matters, either New York or just E. Jean Carroll, something that's like has nothing to do with his job as a president. And each time they've either not taken up the case or just like ignored him, denied it. Not really denied it because they haven't even taken it up. He's trying to once again try to do an executive order or trying to do something regarding birthright citizenship. Even though the court says you can't touch birthright citizenship, period. So he said, okay, I'm going to try to do another executive order targeting birth tourism. Nonetheless, the document, the EO related to that, is even more narrow. It's just, it's going to fail. It's a loser. Whistleblowers, I told you about the Situation Room. There's the New York Times also did a story about Kash Patel, how he was busted. And there's investigation on money he spent on a fleet of BMWs or luxury vehicles. Money he spent on hiring people, giving him excess of the cap for FBI agents to be his secret, going like us back, like his secret security service. Give them more money than they're entitled to as a federal worker, using our tax dollars to pay them above the minimum. He's being investigated for using the FBI jet to go on luxury trips, to take his girlfriend on dates, to go to Europe. No government business relations anyway. A bipartisan effort of Congress people ask him what his plans to pay that money back. So he has his own scandal, along with Tom Homan, who took $50,000 in the bag, part of the FBI sting. And FBI just closed out the case, said there's nothing to see here. Dude, statute of limitations on that what looks like a robbery and theft, and doesn't lapse. Doesn't lapse to after your man got out of office. Even if we were to survive, even if he and we were to survive 2000 to 2028. Anyway. Just enjoy your time now and freedom in your life now that you have it. Deregulation. Paramount tried to merge. A judge said this looks like it violates the antitrust laws. Our antitrust law says that no industry can own too much market concentration, can be owned by one entity. Because why? Because monopolies mean you get less competition, you get like no competitive prices because there's nowhere else for you to go, so they can raise the price. They don't have to give you customer service. There's all these things for we shouldn't have monopolies. And it's called antitrust when they break up monopolies. A judge put the Paramount merger on hold based on antitrust matters. Even if someone doesn't appeal, a judge on their own, sua sponte, meaning on their own, can look at something and say, this doesn't look good. And then finally, the Nexstar, Tegna, a bunch of states have sued. So that even though the FTC and the FCC under this Trump administration approved that merger, a bunch of states said that merger is going to be not in the interest of the public interest. And it's on hold, sort of, based on that suit going forward. So anyway, it's 30 minutes. I didn't want this to be long, but it's a lot. It's a lot. It's a lot of wins for us. It's been like since I think the last time I did this was July 21st. So it was long due for a long one anyway. Each one teach one is my motto. Share this video so more people know. If you like to get my receipts for this, become a member. Go to jjlegal.com/membership, and you get access to the receipts. I'm going to upload the receipts and update them, I think, today. And then you also get access to the something called the replays of the my cases, my classes, and my Q&As. Anyway, I had a Q&A in an hour. I gotta give my daughter something to eat, and that's it. And I gotta post this. Talk to you later. JJ Legal, each one teach one. Share this video so more people know. Go to jjlegal.com to get your Trump Survivor Kit in exchange for your email, and you get newsletters for me, giving updates on the latest cases and the latest videos I've done, so you are up to speed and uplifted and edified. That's what I do here. All right, talk to you soon. Bye-bye. Oh, not bye-bye. If you're watching this on YouTube, I'm going to put a link to my other legal L's so you can keep looking and keep track of all the legal L's. I'll put them there for you.